this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from RedDragon. And RedDragon writes with a rather thorny issue. And RedDragon says that certain pagan traditions, and he names folkish Asatru and ethnic Hellenism as examples, can somewhat come off as rather racist, because they limit their membership only to people of certain ethnicities. And RedDragon would like to know what I think of this, whether I think that they are right in their desire for exclusivity or whether I think that they are wrong in excluding people. And my answer to this is actually going to go to a slightly larger subject, and that is the idea of intertraditional relationships. And I was raised with the idea that the traditions really should not judge each other, but should try to understand their differences. So that said, I really have no opinion about these particular groups or any others in and of themselves. What they do is their business. I'm not a member of them. It is the business of their members, but it's not the business of me or my tradition. So I have nothing to say about the particular examples. What I will say is that in my opinion, for a modern healthy tradition, diversity is very important. I do not believe that there is any such thing as pure race. I certainly am not of pure race, and I don't think anybody else really is either, if you go back very far. Even less is there such a thing as pure culture. And the idea that these peoples in antiquity lived in isolation is totally wrong, and you don't have to study very long to see that. Most of these cultures had more diverse populations than they're given credit for, and the ones that had metropolitan centers, such as Greece and Egypt and especially Rome, were extraordinarily diverse. And they took that diversity in stride, as we really ought to today as well, if we wish to be successful and grow and thrive into the future. And I believe that exclusivity breeds a certain brittleness and makes it very difficult to adapt when conditions change, and they always change. Every generation is different, and the conditions of that generation are different from the one that came before. And this, I think, is a constant in the universe. Change is a constant in the universe. And I think that people have a terribly, terribly wrong idea that perfection means an absence of change. Perfection is the beauty of the pattern of change. The absence of change is simply death, and stagnation, and rot. And although you have to have rot before you can have new growth, it isn't really the place you want to be in for the most part. It will fertilize the ground for the next people, but the thing that you can be sure of is that what has rotted is gone. And if we wish to remain, we must continue to grow, to expand, and to adapt. And this kind of exclusivity pretty much precludes that, whether it's racial exclusivity, gender exclusivity, to a certain extent even philosophical exclusivity. And yes, of course, if you are a tradition, if you are a religion, you have your own point of view. But it doesn't mean that you close your mind to hearing what others have to say. It's always important to see what's happening, what's growing, what's coming into the world, and sometimes you're going to want to adapt it. And sometimes you're going to want to run the opposite way, but you want to think about it before you do it, and not do it as a knee-jerk reaction. It is always important to remember that we are here as living beings. We are not here as statues. So do I think that those groups which try to be very, very exclusive are in a good place and have a good point? Well, you know, their business is their business. It's not the pattern I choose to follow. And I think that I've been pretty successful. Therefore, I'm not likely to be changing my pattern. But what you do, of course, is up to you. And what I would say, just one more time, there is no pure race in this world. Everybody has intermarried at some point, and all the more in these last few hundred years. We're all related, and we really need to be kind of aware of that. So I hope that answers your question and gives you something to think about. And until next time, may you blessed be.